Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. So, I've gone to a bunch of different events in Toronto and fashion shows, and I've always been unbelievably impressed with this one gentleman that walks out and he gets so much of attention. And he's honestly the most fit gentleman I can imagine. He's so debonair, he's so handsome. And he's got this great white beard and he looks like Santa, and he's known as the Fashion Santa. And so I really want to introduce you tonight to Paul Mason. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thanks. Thank you for having me tonight.
So tell me, how did you get into fashion and how did you get into being the Fashion Santa?
Well, I was going to Ryerson downtown. I was taking a social work. I was going to get a degree in social work. My sociology class was mixed in with fashion students, an odd mixture. And they would do presentations once a month. And I guess someone saw me in the crowd and asked me to walk. And in the audience was a couple of modeling agencies. Judy Welsh, I don't know if you were familiar with her back in the day. She's a famous, very famous modeling agency. She scouted me, and that's how it started.
And how, like, this was a while ago or a long while ago?
Oh yeah, I was in my 20s. I mean, I was 24 years old.
So you weren't Santa then?
No, God, no. I was a regular model. I would travel all over the world, do the collections, all the shows. Santa came much later. It was much later, even after my stint in New York for about 15 years. So yeah.
And so how did you transition from being a world traveling fashion model to being Fashion Santa?
Well, it is a bit of a, the backstory is a little bit of a sad story because it was the loss of my mother who died, unfortunately, of cancer. And in my grief, I've kind of went to sleep for a good 6 months, 8 months, and grew up this beard, this massive beard. And I've been in the advertising business long enough to know what works and what doesn't work. And I thought, what's wrong with this svelte Santa with a bit of style and a bit of panache and
a svelte Santa with a little bit of style and panache sounds good.
So, pitched it to a few retailers, big retailers, and lucky to have a bite, and developed it, and it went viral, and here I am.
What a fascinating, and you've been, doing shows all over.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I was, doing shows in Japan and Italy, France, Germany, Spain, New York, London, Toronto, just everywhere. And that was part of a circuit. So that would be twice a year, spring and summer. Mm-hmm. And it would be like sort of like a traveling show with all the guys. We'd meet up just like this brotherhood of male models. It was quite fun. And then as I got older, I kind of figured out in New York that I was making more money staying put on the side of Macy's or Saks or something than having to trek all the way to Europe and do these number of shows. So,
and why was that?
Well, just the price. I could make more money doing New York City catalog than I could walking any runway in Europe. So that's when my runway days were numbered, but resurrected this look, and funny enough, I did some really big shows lately. So,
and what were some of the big shows that you've done lately?
Well, the last one I did, which was pretty spectacular, was the last Jean-Paul Gaultier haute couture show of his career, and it was monumental. It was extravaganza. It was 120 models, but celebrities, sports stars, singers, fashion models, supermodels. It was insane. It was an incredible honor to do the show, and I ended up closing it. So another moment in this long and steady career.
We're chatting tonight with Paul Mason, the Fashion Santa, about his career both as a fashion model, but then also as a fashion model Santa. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with Paul in just a minute. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Paul Mason, who is the Fashion Santa. And it's just a gentleman that I've I've noticed, you can't help but notice as he's on magazines and walking runways and lots of different things in his career. So, tell me a little bit about your experiences being the fashion Santa. Where have been some of the more interesting places to go?
Well, when the idea actually hit, we went viral in 2015, and to like billions of impressions all over the world. And it's quite fascinating to think that you could, I have probably 10 covers to my name with the beard. This is even after, after a long career. I've had, some really good fortune and experiences being with the public, a lot of, being in Toronto and yeah. So, I mean, it's what I do. I'm more of an event, like personable in person kind of character. But I mean, I also align myself with lots of collaborations with brands and other initiatives. So, the theme is red.
Very red.
Very red. I like to, the velvets were all custom done. So I wear like a lot of velvets during the season, as Santa would. But my velvets are custom and a bit fitted. And I just try to put a different take on what Santa can be. And, you could call it the modern Santa. You can call it the adult Santa. You can... there's anything, skinny Santa, it all comes up.
So what do you think the key to your success? Is it the fact that you're handsome and svelte, or is the personality, or what?
I think it's a new idea. I think, Santa Claus is Santa Claus, and I'm not competing with Santa Claus. God, there's no way I could do that. It's just an idea that is a little bit fun, not so serious. It's great for advertising again. Never seen Santa in that kind of context before, so advertisers love it. And my initiatives with charity is a big component of Fashion Santa.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So what I came up with, because of my backstory with being the face of Toronto Men's Fashion Week, I noticed that I had a lot of selfies. I was doing selfies after every show. And I thought, if I ever come to some type of situation where I could make a difference, then this selfie thing is really sticking. So I came up with this initiative that whoever I collaborate with, say a mall or a brand or label or whatever, and we do a series of events and meeting people, meet and greets, incorporate sort of like the interaction with the selfies, maybe hashtags Fashion Santa with, say, Hyundai. And for every hashtag, Hyundai would donate to a charity or cause, and which would then bring a number of good causes to the mix.
One of the other things that I've noticed about you is that you make age, not just males, but you're often with older females. You make age sexy.
Well, I don't. I think I'm just not a person that doesn't know when to go away. It's this tenacity I have. I mean, I'm not finished. I mean, I don't see age. Age is just a number to me. So I have also this kind of immature wonderment that I carry with me. So maybe that's a little bit of that too. But I don't, I'll call it when I want. So
do you appear with Ms. Santa Claus at all?
Well, I've done a couple of. There's a really good story about me and Carmen Della Felice is her name. She's probably the most iconic silver-haired female model woman in the world. I shot with her when I was about 26 years old in New York. We did a weekend in Lake Placid. A phenomenal woman. And then I had the good fortune of shooting with her 25 years later. So we actually, have on my Instagram, you can see a split screen where, she hasn't aged a minute and I have this huge white beard. So it's quite funny to see.
And you've done a fair amount of magazine covers?
Yeah, I think I have 10 under my belt at the moment. And that's not bad for like an old dude, like an old guy, an older guy with a white beard to have 10 covers to his name. You know, I have one young Vogue cover. I was fortunate to be on the cover of Vogue when I was younger, which is a big benchmark for any model.
What do you think you're telling people about aging?
Well, again, I mean, I don't buy into it. I think I don't haven't changed much. The only thing is, I think you now compensate for what your body's going through. So you might be a little healthier. Your diet might be better. But the aging process is not fun, as we all know. But again, I think it's all it's a spirit. You know, kind of like wonderment that still exists, and I think it's curiosity. You know, I think it's key. Never stop wanting to learn, or never about things, about life, about yourself. So I think that's a big factor in my if you want to call it my mantra.
Tell us a little about your fitness regime.
Well, I bounce from diets to diet, not dieting where I'm dieting. You know, there's a meme out there right now about me being on keto. I'm not on keto. I mean, it's just like because I guess they said Santa was on the keto diet, so he's slimmed down. I'm not. I was on the paleo diet for a little bit, which I really enjoyed, cutting out all the the carbs and the dairy and everything. But I was fortunate this winter to collaborate with Hydro. Hydro is a rowing machine, somewhat like Pentathlon, the bike, the exercise bike. So I'm now taking up rowing. I'm lucky enough to keep running because of my knees are pretty good, and I don't eat a lot.
That's the secret.
That's a secret. It's portion size too. It's just I don't really eat. I only eat when I'm hungry.
I've had a bunch
Um,
of people on my show that are fitness and nutrition people, and the line that I keep on hearing is, "You can't outrun a bad diet."
no, no, it's true. And again, like people have a lot of issues with emotional eating, and I think if you can get that under wraps or just figure that out, I think you can get on on a good path.
I've
So,
heard that a lot of models have mental health issues.
well, I think, listen, that's a huge statement. It's a huge statement. I think it's a funny industry because no one actually says when they're younger, I'm going to be a model. You know, I think it just happens. I don't think anyone pursues it outright. But and then when you do, you're not really prepared because you could be too young, because fashion is young, and your mindset is not young, and it's too impressionable. You have to learn quite quick. So if the result is a bit of mental illness, yes, I know that the women unfortunately have physical problems with bulimia and anorexia, so eating disorders and the likes of that. But it's a funny industry to grow up in, and you grow up very fast. So sure, I mean, mental issues are across the board in every aspect in every job. So
What an incredible career you've had. Like, it really is amazing, the different experiences that you've had. What was it like starting out as a young 20-year-old model?
well, again, because my look, I'll start. The way I see it was I wanted to be an international model. So I had not traveled so much. My first location job was in Japan. And so that was my first trip abroad. And to be young in such a fantastic country, but very difficult country to navigate through, was a challenge. And then, but I was fearless, and all these being fearless brought me to all these great experiences, and I don't regret any of it. I mean, I learned culture, I learned food, I learned at that time different currencies because it wasn't euro and American dollar. But cultures, again, food and customs, had great friendships all over the world. So I often see me as being that, being sort of like a citizen of the world, if you will.
1994, 30 years ago, you were on Vogue?
Yes, it was my, I had just landed in New York. For some reason, it just hit it. I went there at 29 years old, and I was fortunate to start working right away. And the photographer that I was working with said, I would like to take you to Sydney, Australia, shoot the cover of Vogue and an editorial inside. It was just like incredible. I mean, I've had so many moments in my career where I had my international runway career, I had my New York American career, and then I came back home, and then Fashion Santa is sort of like the third roundabout, if you will, to this ongoing career. I think I'm up to my.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think I'm coming up to my 36th year.
What's happened during COVID? Has fashion stopped completely?
Well, Fashion Santa was a challenge for Fashion Santa. There was, because I do events and I do personal appearances like Santa does. It was quite a challenge. We were able to Cameo is a site that you can get on where you can get personalized messages. Unfortunately, we didn't get on there in time. But if all else fails, this is where someone can go and buy a message from any celebrity that's on their roster. So that was a good option. But it was a challenge to reach out to all my followers and fans. So I debuted a series of Christmas cards last Christmas that all the proceeds went to the Sick Kids Foundation. So that was a new thing for me, which was quite exciting. I teamed up with an illustrator from Montreal, Steve Lapierre, and we came up with 4 images, fantastic cards. And as I said, all the proceeds went to the Milk and Cookies initiative with the Foundation of Sick Kids.
What's next for you?
It's funny. I think because of just optics, I've been in Canada for the last few years. I think it's time to go to New York as Fashion Santa and just benefit from the New York. Hopefully, I mean, if all goes well and we're in a better place, this will happen. But I think the optics from New York is looking very good for me. So I think maybe base myself in New York. And another location, oddly enough, though, I would love to explore is Dubai. I know that the Dubai Mall is this fascinating, insanely elegant shopping center that I see myself in, and I think would be a great fit.
I actually did some modeling myself, just in some charity fashion shows, but I was on the runway right behind someone who had just won Canada's top supermodel, and asked her for some advice about how to be a good runway model. If someone asked you, what would you say?
That's a funny question. I would say, first of all, because I'm so in tune with music, that I always walk to the beat. So if there's a beat, you always have a footstep that matches the beat. So it looks like, and I walk quite fast. I think if you want to stand out, maybe you up your tempo or your stride a little faster to not really blend in with the. I mean, it could be against what the designer and the stylist want you to do, but yeah, there's a lot of things. There's things like don't swing your arms when you walk and keep your arms straight and look straight ahead. But I personally, my thing is to walk to the beat. So
walk to the beat. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Her advice was stride strong, confident, and bold.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're representing someone's line. You really have to. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Where do you think fashion's going? People are hanging around in sweats, staying and working at home. Are we going to go back to those three-piece suits that you were wearing?
This is a very good question, and I had the fortunate time to speak to graduating students from Humber College about the way, where is retail going, and what the brick and mortar and the online shopping and the pandemic and people not dressing anymore. And I think luxury fashion is doing okay. I think that it's always going to be. I mean, there's a place for all that for the people that buy luxury goods. The one hit that I think is happening now is in the cosmetic industry, where it's taken a huge hit for lipsticks and eyeshadows and things like that. I mean, lipsticks taken a huge hit. And the reason that I know about this is because when it's time, I'm going to launch a line of red lipsticks for Christmas under the Fashion Center brand. So I've been working with a makeup artist in LA. He's makeup to the stars. He's very well known. And we're going to come up with 5 shades of red as a Fashion Center reds, but it will be a charity initiative also. So it's a very exciting.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and I think so. I mean, some people will say, well, where does a man get to promote lipstick for women? But that's not the point. It's the point of the reds.
So you know the color red well, better than anyone. I've been trying to grow a beard during COVID as well, not nearly to the extent of yours. Have you got any recommendations on good grooming techniques or beard oil, or what do you do to keep your beard in such great shape?
Well, I just was. Now I'm collaborating with Gillette King. So it was their beard products are great. Beard wash, beard oil, and beard balm. They're amazing products. I'm now advertising on my website, on my Instagram. But there's a trick to the beard, because everyone thinks that you use like a very expensive wash or something, which it works. But you can also use like sort of like a Dove body wash, because there's something in it that kind of controls the beard. This is a big one. I need to get it trimmed. It's a bit unruly at the moment. So, but
is there a favorite place to go get it trimmed?
Not at the moment. No, not at the moment. I've usually get my beard trimmed on set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I've asked you about being a fashion model. I've asked you about mental health. I've asked you about how to be a success on the runway. And we've asked about diet and athleticism. But the one word you use that I really like, that I'd like you to expand upon and tell me how one becomes it, is debonair. And it's not a word you hear all the time. So how does one describe debonair, and how does one become debonair?
Do you think I'm debonair?
I think you are debonair. And I thought it was a very appropriate word to use, but it's not a word you hear all that often. So what is debonair? Is debonair the way that you wear the three-piece suit?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's a movement. It's just an idea. It's maybe a thought of wearing the three-piece suit, but making sure that the fit is fit to you the way it should fit. And maybe those are little tiny touches that maybe a debonair person or, would actually think about. The hem on the pants, the cuff, making sure the cuff is shown in your suit. Maybe it's, I am a big believer of, style is something that you control and not it control you, where you can have like a suit, a lower end suit, but it could fit and look like $1 million. And it's just that kind of thing. I mean, I don't come from a background of any wealth, but I just study very, very wisely. And I've always been a bit of on the dandy side. So I don't know. It's just,
but debonair has also got to do with charisma, doesn't it? And it's approachable charisma, I would have thought. It's someone that people feel comfortable and want to be around and aspire to. It's not that arrogant person that's aloof. But it's also someone that's got charisma and
charisma, kindness and manners. I think it's a, I
charisma,
think,
kindness, and manners. Those are good 3 words.
yeah, I think they work, it'll go a long way. Charisma is great. I think kindness, to rise above, a situation, or be a bigger person in the situation, and no one can ever knock you for being kind. I mean, it's just that in itself. Debonair could be making people feel comfortable around them, making people feel like they're worthy of whatever they want to do. Making, it's. I think this Fashion Santa has gone on like it has because his character, or my character through this debonair Fashion Santa, wants kindness and wants people to be better, and wants illness to go away, and good feelings, and that kind of thing.
Paul Mason, Fashion Santa, debonair, kindness, charisma. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's really terrific. Thank you.
Stay with us. We're going to come back in just a minute.